to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We'll read the appeal of decisions pursuant to the provisions of 2.68.030 of the Metropolitan Code of Laws. Please take notice that decisions of the Metropolitan Board of Parks and Recreation may be appealed to the Chancery Court of Davidson County for review under a common law writ of certiorari. Any appeal may be filed within 60 days and after entry of a final decision by the board. Any person or other entity considering an appeal should consult with an attorney to ensure that time and procedural requirements are met. Has the board had an opportunity to read the minutes?
Move approval.
It has properly been moved and seconded. Is there, all those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Are there any referrals from the Metropolitan Council?
No council members present.
All righty. We will move to our agenda, taking out of order 05-19-02, the board to affirm reappointment of Mr. George Anderson as a member of the Parks Board effective May 7, 2018.
So moved.
Second.
And he will be reappointed tonight at council. Mr. Anderson's term will expire April 30th, 2024.
You all vote on that? There was a motion, a second, but not a vote.
Yes, we had a motion from, and second. Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, we'll move on. Thank you so much, Mr. Anderson.
Thank you.
Welcome back. Old business, representatives from Cheekwood to present parking plan to the board. The acquisitions committee met.
We did meet, and we recommend deferral of this matter until the June 4th Parks Board meeting.
Move second.
May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? 04-1905, Councilmember Russ Pulley, representing Council District 25, requests permission to address the Parks Board regarding the location of a historical marker to recognize Bill Barnes. This
Councilmember Pulley has requested that this be withdrawn for consideration.
Thank you. We'll move to the consent agenda. If there are no objections, I will entertain a motion to accept the agenda in its entirety. So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All righty, moving on to new business. 05-19-03, Mr. Brian Taylor, President of the Nashville Parks Foundation, to introduce Ms. Gretchen Pritchett to the board as the Director of the Nashville Parks Foundation. Hello.
Thank you, and board. Brian Taylor, I'm the board chair of the Nashville Parks Foundation, and the last time I was here to give you an update back in January, I explained at the time we were going through the process of seeking out a new executive, and I'm here today to tell you that there's nobody in this room happier than me to tell you that Ms. Gretchen Pritchett has been hired as our new president and CEO of the foundation. Many of you hopefully will get to know fairly well and very well over time. To that effect, thank you for all you do, and we hope to work with you, the parks and Metro, to further our cause.
Thank you.
Gretchen, welcome aboard. We're happy to have you.
No. Thank you, Brian. 05-19-04, Mr. Brian Taylor, President of the Nashville Parks Foundation, requests board approval for the Nashville Parks Foundation to accept private donations up to $500,000 for the development of Frankie Pierce Park. Please note that this gift will require no matching funds from the metropolitan government. Mr. Jeff Haynes will recuse himself from this vote. Is there a staff recommendation?
Yes, Tim Nature.
Approval.
Move for approval. All right. Is there a motion for approval?
Make the motion.
Second.
Is there any discussion? It's been properly moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
All righty. Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. 05-19-05, Ms. Katie Burris, president of the Friends of Shelby Park in Bottoms, requests the board to accept a donation in the amount of $27,780 to support the Cornelia Fort Playground. Director Odom, is there a staff recommendation?
Tim Nate.
Staff recommendation is for approval. Katie is here if she would like to speak. And just a little bit of information about this project. This is, Metro has funded $100,000 toward the development of a playground at Cornelia Fort Trailhead at Shelby Bottoms. And this will supplement that budget to allow us to add some additional features that sort of expand the age range of kids that the playground will be designed to accommodate.
Nothing formal to say, just very pleased to present you with the donation if you accept it. We've raised the money through the Pick and Party series that we've done over there for the last 4 years that we'll be extending this year as well, and we're excited to continue to raise funds to put down into that space.
Thank you. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. 05-19-06, Ms. Laura Fox, president of the Friends of Green Hills Park, requests the board to accept a donation in the amount of $75,000 to fund improvements in the Green Hills Park. Is there a staff recommendation?
I'll just say, I think this has been revised, this item's been revised to $35,000 rather than $75,000.
Let me restate, 05-19-06, Ms. Laura Fox, president of the Friends of Green Hills Park, requests the board to accept a donation in the amount of $35,000 to fund improvements in Green Hills Park. Hearing the revision,
So moved, 35,000.
Second.
it's been properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you for being ready, Tim. 05-19-07, Mr. Glenn Biggs, President, CEO of Community Arts of Bellevue, requests the board to accept a donation of 2 murals to be applied to the comfort station and to the backdrop of the stage as part of the Red Caboose Playground project in Bellevue Park. Is there a staff recommendation?
Tim Nate.
Staff recommendation is for approval, and we have worked with Macy at Metro Legal to develop the MOU that's in your packet. The art to be installed will not become the property of Metro Parks. The arts organization will be responsible for all maintenance.
Are there any questions? Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Is there, I'm sorry. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Passes. 05-19-08, Ms. Jane Kleiman, representing Friends of Warner Parks, requests the board to accept a donation of a 2005 Logan horse trailer valued at $9,999 to be used by the Metro Parks Mounted Patrol Unit. Is there a staff recommendation?
Recommend approval. This will help, again, our Parks Police Mounted Patrol, and they are grateful for this donation, and again, recommend approval.
Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? It's properly moved and seconded. All those in favor? All righty. Any opposed? 05-19-09, staff requests board approval to receive the dedication of 2 greenway conservation easements from Ben's Farm Land Company, LLC, located on parcel 52, tax map number 74 of Davidson County and 3100 LF of new 12-foot wide greenway trail to be constructed as part of Phase 1 construction of Park Haven Communities residential development. Parks Board rules require this to be deferred to acquisition. Okay. 05-19-10, staff requests board approval of cost of living adjustment for Metro Park seasonal part-time employees effective July 1, 2019, and contingent upon the approval of the FY20 pay plan by the Metro Council. Is there a staff recommendation?
Yes, Shanice White, please.
As we know, the mayor has recommended a 3% COLA, and we will follow his recommendation as long as it's approved by the Metro Council for this classification of employees within Metro Park.
He's going to do it. Make a motion for approval.
Second.
Thank you. It's been properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. 05-19-11, MDHA requests board approval to enter into a temporary construction easement agreement with Basketball Heights Development Company Incorporated for use of Lot 2 of Kirkpatrick Park subdivision, parcel number 09304006700. Staff recommendation?
This needs to go to the acquisition committee.
Acquisition, thank you. We will now move to special presentations and introductions. We'll call the Friends of Hadley Tennis will present their annual update to the board.
Thank you.
Mr. Goldthreet.
It's a pleasure to be
Good to see
here
you.
today. Can I get permission to approach the board?
Yes, sure.
Like to pass out this?
Thank you.
Written. Well, you want to misunderstand?
Thank you, sir. Thanks.
You're welcome. All right, let's recognize my president, Mrs. Fannie Holmes. She's been with the organization over 40 years. Betty White, been with the organization over 50 years as Park and Recreation. As we look at Hadley Park, we got a late start. The late start is that in April, we received a letter of approval. But the tennis center wasn't finished until July the 17th, and we had our grand opening. If you look inside of your booklet, you can see that the United States Tennis Association president came here, along with the 9 district president of the Southern Tennis Association, which I served on the executive board for 17 years, to welcome us back at Hadley Park. It's a great facility. We came in there, we set it up, we started doing a free program on Saturday mornings from 8 until 12. We had 4 courts, maximum 16 people. Our applications went out, we had 179 people apply. So 4 courts, that was impossible. But we did the best we could on that issue. In the meantime, while it was building the tennis facility, we went and did something with Mr. Stepan, and we started doing quick start in the community centers. We had 5 community centers we went through in low income areas, high crime areas, and brought back Yessa and Nosa as we did for over 50 years when we was here before. We did a great job in the community centers. You can see the turnout, it was great, and we had a great time from October the 1st all the way to January the 21st. Miss Betty White got tired, I got tired, because all our workers are retirees. We went back and got our whole staff of 15 people are all retirees. And I would say in 2019, we started our new programs for the first of the year. Since I had a meeting with Stevan, I put it on hold dealing with the summer program because they wanted to continue it because it was so successful. I said, by the guidelines that we set up for Mr. Spears, Mr. Fikes, Tommy Lynch over the last 60 years I was here, that the Friends of must come to this board to get approved so we can be able to do any activity with Park and Recreation by the guidelines. So we're asking for the guidelines to be reviewed and looked over, and we wanted to be able to go into the inner city, back in the community that we were doing programs. It's going to take funds. We want to raise funds. In fact, we had a lot of people that used to be in our program that's already started donating $1,000 of their own personal money to be able to do these programs. I talked to Mr. Stevens about this. We also wanted to do this year is to continue the program at the tennis facility. The programs that we'll be able to bring individual kids in at no cost and be able to learn to play on the local level and the high school level. USTA brought the NJTL. They wanted to do the NJTL rally here. This is the first time the rally will ever be put in Nashville. We had a great turnout for our business here. Everywhere we went, we're dealing with 85 kids, and all the places are giving 85 vouchers to all the restaurants and hotels. So it's going to be a great event, and it's July the 18th through the 21st of this year. Other than that, we'll turn this over to my president, Mrs. Fannie Holmes, and hope that we would get approval with the board of what we asked for. Ms. Fannie.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Good
afternoon.
Okay, by myself. But anyway, you don't. Good thing to come behind Mr. Goldthread because you don't have any work to do, because he have laid it out already for us. But what we're asking for is approval from the board to continue doing what we have been doing successfully for over the past 40 years or more. And we just coming to the board today to ask that support that we've been given, and hope that you will continue to support us. Because I tell you what, those young people that's out there, and you all know that there's so much violence, gun violence, drugs, all over the city. Well, you take 200 and some students that we touched throughout the summer and save those students. Just think how much that is saving our communities and families. It's not only just building the families up, the children up, but it's also building families. And we have done that for the past 40 years, and we ask the board to give us that support so we can continue that process. And we want to thank Ms. Odom. We thank you so much, and Park Board, for all the support you have given us in the past, and we hope that marriage will continue. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your presentation to the board. There is nothing on the agenda for the Parks Board to approve at this time. This was just a presentation and update from the organization to the board to let us know what's going on with you.
Madam Chair,
Yes, sir.
did they bring Arnett Bodenheimer with them?
Did you all bring Arnett Bodenheimer with you? The Arnett Bodenheimer with you?
He followed me some sweats.
We are happy to see you today. We thank you for being here. Thank you so much. We will now move to the Friends of Warner Parks, who will present their annual update to the board. So, Mr. Kevin.
While he's doing that, good afternoon. My name's Kevin Roddy. I'm the board chair of Friends of Warren Parks. I'm standing in for the executive director that usually gives us address. We are in transition, which is probably, to me, my friend Brian Taylor said, probably the most important, probably the most exciting part of the presentation, at least as far as I'm concerned. On that note, congratulations on your new position, and Brian Taylor, congratulations to you. I feel your pain, brother. So, but both of us ended up with a great new executive director. So what I'd like to do is sort of give you a recap for 2018, which is a mix of very impressive projects, the service hours, and volunteers that we help us continue to preserve and protect Warner Parks, and then tell you sort of where we are and where I think where we're going, with your help, of course. So, Tim, are you driving? Should I just, or do you have a?
Sure, it's on. Let's see. Turn green. I think you can drive. We'll be there. We'll see.
Great. So, as a reminder, this partnership with Metro has been in place since our inception in 1987. And we have raised a little over $30 million for the benefit of Warner Parks. That is a mix of land acquisition, that is a mix of supporting salaries for the Nature Center, general maintenance for the park, and we appreciate the opportunity to do that. It truly is a privilege and pleasure to support Warner Parks and really to make sure that it's there for all to enjoy, which last count is over 1 million people a year. Last year, some exciting things happened, not least of which was the renovation of the Sandstone Gates, which is probably the signature feature of Warner Parks at the end of Bellamy Boulevard. It was part of, or that fundraising effort was part of our Sunday in the Park event, which is very successful, and we raised almost $200,000 for the restoration of that. It did receive a nice award from the Metro Historical Commission. And then we dedicated that on June the 22nd, 2018. And Gavan White, who was here at the last board meeting, was instrumental in making that happen with a large lead gift. And thanks to him, he announced, unbeknownst to me, a capital campaign that was going to take place afterwards for the LA. So I said, Gavan, congratulations. You're the new chair for that new capital campaign. And as we said during our last meeting, and you approved, we are in the midst of that, or actually starting that, and I'll give you an update on that in a few moments. What we do, I think the most important part of what we do is support features of the park, projects within the park that help all of us enjoy the park. So in the Warner Park Nature Center, there were new exhibits that were put in place. Some were restored, some were entirely brand new, and what that did was really serve as an unbelievable and unique learning facility for roughly 35,000 visitors in 2018, which included 4,400 students that came during 312 school field trips. We helped complete the mounted police barn. I was unaware of the horse trailer, but we are big fans of the park police. And so this renovated police barn, again, it's just another example of that, and will be used hopefully very well by the park police, which is such a great partner to Warner Parks and parks in general. Most of our income, at least to date, come from events. We have some really neat events, not least of which is full moon picking parties. I've worked the door, if you will. There's no door, but I'm working the gates. As people come in, and I'm always shocked at the number of people that are from out of state coming to that, so really it's taking on a life of its own as a signature Nashville event. The Flying Monkey Marathon, we have taken over full responsibility of that. Sunday in the Park is our signature event, which comprises roughly 40% of our annual revenues. Good, and that comprises 40% of our annual revenues. Bad, in that we have a lot of eggs in that basket, but it's an event that keeps getting better and better. Hummingbird Happy Hour is brand new and really there to support our bird banding and bird research efforts, which is probably one of the most unique features of Friends. Volunteers, again, just key to what we do. We have Paul Fowler, who is maintaining and help manage our volunteers, which numbered roughly 3,300 visits and 9,500 hours that do everything from invasive plant removal to trail maintenance, tree planting, whole host of things that we as an organization, Metro as the government entity overseeing parks, really can't do by itself. So, and along those lines, we have two great programs, Pen Pals and the Sweat Summer programs, which help bring kids into the parks, some of which have never been in a park or a nature setting, so they spend the night for the first time in the parks. We heard a presentation on that from the director, who said probably the coolest thing is the question she gets about bears in the parks. And it's just some people really want to see a bear, some people don't. But the number of kids that ask about bears to her is just an indication of the importance of this program. And then Sweat is a formal program where we are actually employing 6 crew members that go into the park and perform roughly 1,700 hours of volunteer work on the trails every summer. Our budget right now is $1.3 million, and that supports a whole host of items, from staff salaries at the Nature Center to the programs I just mentioned, to this bird research program that continues to gain just prominence, and it continues to get bigger. The historic structures and stonework, I mean, the list of projects in the park just to repair stonework is large, and so that's going to be a key sort of project for us as we move forward, and then we maintain the trails for the many, many visitors that come to the parks every day. And then finally, as I said, we've had a very exciting announcement and development, in that we have a new executive director pending formal board approval on Friday, but I'm almost confident that it will be unanimous, at least from what I can tell so far. It's somebody that I think several of you already know. It's Jenny Hannon. Jenny has a very impressive resume, which includes her stint as executive director for the Sports Council, 10FL, She was MBA for a while, and currently she's the Director of Institutional Advancement at Ensworth. She sees this as a calling, which accounts for the fact that she is taking an enormous pay cut to do this job. So that's something we couldn't be more appreciative of. Another part of her experience is the fact that she was on this board for 12 years. So as we think about where our partnership with Metro is, where it could go, I think her knowledge of the inner workings of Metro Parks will be critical and very helpful as we continue to have those conversations. So I think that is, I think that's it. Any questions, comments?
We want to thank you for your time. Always good to see you, Kevin.
Always good to see you, Dr. Steele.
And I'd just like to add, you mentioned the Pen Pals program up there. I want to give a special thank you publicly to University School of Nashville, who will transport our Pen Pals participants from community centers to Warner Parks this summer. We typically use Metro MNPS school buses, and they are not available to us this year, and Dr. Dernan has stepped in once again and helped us out. So
Good.
I just want
Good. Thank you.
thank them and thank you all
Very
for
good.
all that you continue to do.
Great. Well, thank you for your partnership. Look
Thank
forward
you.
to working with all of you. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to move to capital projects update. Tim, Nate?
Okay, I'll just hit on changes from last month. In Bellevue Park, the Red Caboose Playground replacement construction is underway. There was a community build event this past Saturday Sunday, supposed to be on Saturday as well, right? And Rebecca has been managing that project with lots and lots of moving parts. But construction will be complete in June of this month, and I don't know whether Jackie has on her agenda any information about at least a tentative ribbon cutting event for that, maybe. I'll leave that to you. A new project is a new pavilion that will be going in Hadley Park. We're replacing an existing pavilion in the park, so this hasn't been on your list in the past, but we're really excited about putting an architectural pavilion there in the park that I think we hope will be a really iconic, defining new element in the park with beautiful textile patterns on the soffits underneath. Jefferson Street Park construction contract negotiations are underway by MDHA. Another new project is the Cornelia Fort Playground, and we already shared with you some information about that. And then for Wharf Park, we are in contract negotiation stages right now with a landscape architecture firm called Agency out of Cambridge, Massachusetts. They had a really strong proposal, also lots of public subcontractor, local subcontractor participation, including Hodgson and Douglas Landscape Architects and Hastings Architecture.
Thank you.
Oh, and then in Tony Rose Park, this Saturday, May 11th at 10 a.m. Am I getting your stuff again? Is a celebration for the mural that Oasis Center did on that cul-de-sac celebration event.
Nice. Thank you. Upcoming special events and activities, Jackie Jones.
Yes. Well, you'll be pleased but not surprised to know we have a lot of events coming up, and if you'll look at your sheet that you have in front of you is probably the longest one that you've had to date. I'm not going to go through each and every event, but I will go through the ones that are marked series. Those indicate those are events that will go on throughout the summer and early fall. So we have Dragon Music Sundays at Fannie Mae Dees Park at 4 p.m. Beginning on May 19th, and that will run Sundays through June 9th. We have Musicians Corner, 4 p.m. That kicks off this weekend. For those of you who have not had a chance to see the wonderful exhibit at Fort Negley called 17 Men, I strongly encourage you to do so. There was a wonderful article on the front page of the Tennessean, I believe, last week, if I'm not mistaken, that sort of summarized what that exhibit is about. That exhibit will run through June 19th, so you have a little time. Kevin mentioned the Full Moon Pickin' Party. The first one begins on May 17th, and that will run every Friday, I believe, through October. Then we have the Brown Bag Lunch Concerts, 11:30 a.m. Centennial Park Event Shelter every Wednesday through October, beginning tomorrow. Jazz on the Cumberland, which is a very popular event, every third Sunday in May. The event runs through October at Cumberland Park at 5:30 p.m. So those are just a few of the events. We have others on our website. We have a newsletter that's coming out at some point this week, and we'll have even more events on there.
Thank you, Jackie. Director Odom, are there any department updates?
There are not.
All right, report of the director.
Okay. If you all will notice at your place, you have it's a page titled 40, Parks and Recreation Financial. These are the items that will be included in the mayor's recommended budget, particularly for our operating budget, community center, staffing and operations for the new Bellevue Regional Community Center, and expanded hours for the Parthenon. We expect that improvement to bring in additional revenue, and then just a licensing obligation that we have. Those other items below are special purpose funds adjustment. And then too, what is exciting to me on this page is that the budget savings targets that have been in place for this fiscal year, which really were basically frozen positions that we do need. Those appear to be unfrozen. It was in the amount of $1,065,000. So in essence, our department had a reduction, and we have been hamstrung. You all know that, and so I'm glad to see that that is no longer in place. Just for you all to be mindful also that our budget hearing before Metro Council is May 22nd at 4:00 p.m. I hope that you'll all plan to attend to show your support for the department. 4:00, and we'll send something out. We'll send a note, a reminder out to you all. A couple of things. We are planning, I think maybe last year, year before, George had mentioned us, or you all board members, doing a site visit, site tour. We're trying to get that in place now so you can visit some of the facilities and see some of our staff working and some of the people that we serve. I think that'd be very productive and useful for you all in your roles here. And another thing I wanted to bring up are, we're getting a lot of land use requests, whether it is, and George is nodding his head because it's nothing new, whether it is from a peer department, a developer, or a private entity. We get requests all the time, and so I just want to keep that at the front of you all's minds, because whatever you approve, of course, sometimes it'll have to go to council, but it's really serious. People are running out of space in the city. We know that Parks land is open and available, but it's very important to folks in our community that it's available to them for use. That's not a vote for or against, whatever. I think you'll have to take those requests on a case-by-case basis, but just for you all to be mindful that those requests come in all the time, and they will come before you each and every time. And I also want to make you aware of there is a homeless encampment over at Adventure Science Center. It's near where the Fort Negley encampment was, but it is closer to the parking, down to the parking area, and it's in a clearing.
It's newer?
This is new. I visited there last Wednesday and talked with Steve Hinckley, who's the director of Adventure Science Center. So we are coordinating with Steve, Captain Taylor, and Metro Police, and the Homelessness Commission. I think they have a new name. Forgive me for not saying your name properly, but to encourage folks to move on and try to find them shelter, indoor shelter. So just so that you are aware, they've had a couple of incidences over there which are serious. So we want to address this as best we can. Just wanted to put that on your radar. And that is all I have.
All righty, thank you so much. Are there any announcements? If not, we'll entertain a motion to
May I?
adjourn. Yes, ma'am.
I would like to request a future agenda item.
Okay.
I would like for us as a board to come up with a procedure or a policy on how we nominate officers and handle elections each year.
Yes.
I'd love to have something in place so that we all understand the process.
It's in your board rules. It's in place. If you all want to modify that, we can do something like that. But there is a policy and procedure that's in the board rules, so we would just have to amend
Do we
the
have do we have a committee for that?
No.
So something more formalized is what you're looking for? I broached the subject previously with our attorney, and so we'll look at that for the next, you're requesting that they be put on the next agenda.
Well, I'd like us to look
How that
into it,
works.
whether it's an agenda item or
Okay.
so on.
Absolutely.
Like follow, if we have a process, I'd like to know what it is. And,
Okay.
yeah.
All righty, any other questions, announcements, or? All right, we'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Thank you. We're adjourned.
This has been a service of the Metro Nashville Network. If you would like to see this presentation again, or for more information about this and other programs, visit nashville.gov.